A lot of people ask me, why do I have martial art videos on my channel, on Dan Locke's channel? Well, because I've been practicing martial arts for so many years, and I believe in business, in martial arts, there are a lot of parallels. There are a lot of things that I learned from martial arts that apply in sales, in entrepreneurship, in business. And there are things I learned from business also apply to martial arts. I believe a lot of those things are interconnected. So today I want to share with you what are the 5 things I learned about life and business from Wing Chun, right? Now in Wing Chun, the first thing I want to share with you is, in Wing Chun we talk about the strict line theory, right? And that's why our go-to punch in Wing Chun is the strict blast. And what it means is, when you're facing an opponent, and the opponent doesn't have to be a person, it could be a scenario, an obstacle in life, right? Instead of going a curve like a hook punch or like a big round punch, right? We want to see what is the closest distance from A to B, right? What is the most efficient to get something done? So in Wing Chun, we don't punch this way, we don't punch this way, we don't punch this way, it's straight line, right? And the second punch, that when we punch, we don't pull back and say like a karate punch, right? You hit and you come back, right? Wing Chun is much more like a machine gun, right? Just like a machine. If we do this, right, punch, right, it's much more like this, right? When we practice it, we're doing a drill of some sort, right? So it's a strict line. So it's a strict line, you can see that. So the strict line theory in business, I believe, is the same thing. When we're looking for solution, sometimes we make it way more complicated than it needs to be. Sometimes the solution is so obvious right in front of us, and hey, just go from this to this. Oh, but what about this? What about it doesn't work? What about it works too well? And what if we fail? And what if, no, just boom, right? Just do that. And you get to your results. So that's first thing I learned from Wing Chun. Now, the second thing I've learned from Wing Chun, which is very interesting, is focus on the outcome and not the process. Now, in Wing Chun, we have a lot of trapping techniques, right? Trapping techniques, meaning, if I throw a punch to Peter, so here I have an obstacle. So from here, I see the strict line, say, okay, I'm gonna hit Peter in the chin here, but boom, I have an obstacle. But what happens in life, we get so attached to this. Then we're like, oh, we're fighting over this, like, I wanna fight over this. This obstacle, we always focus on the process, but we no longer focus on the outcome. The outcome is not the hand, the focus is here. These are the branches. We want to focus on the trees, right? So in Wing Chun, in Chinese, we talk about 追形不追手, means we chase the main, the figure, not the hands. We only do trapping when there's an obstacle. So when there's an obstacle, we can trap and we can hit, right? So we are not thinking about the hand. It's just, I try to hit, there's an obstacle, then I can trap and I can punch. Right? So focus on the outcome. We don't lose sight of the outcome. So that's the second thing that I've learned from Wing Chun that applies in life as well. And the third thing that I've learned from Wing Chun, and that is structure over strength. Now in business, sometimes you're competing with a company that is much bigger, that's got more resources, that's got more capital, they have more people, right? They have a better brand. Well, as a smaller company, how do you beat a bigger guy, right? You can't do that with strength. Let me look at those guns. I mean, like, they're pretty big, right? So if you're facing a guy with like 150 pounds, 200 pounds, 250 pounds, and depends on your size. If you've strength versus strength, you're gonna lose. So Wing Chun is designed for the little guys to beat the bigger guys, and you don't do that with strength, you do that with structure. So let me give you a perfect example. If I was to like push with Peter, right? I'm like using my muscle and like pushing him, he's pushing me, like right? You can see that again. Right? Because I have no structure, my structure is off, right? However, if I have the proper, let's say, Wing Chun structure, right? And then instead of fighting force with force, my structure, my shoulders relax, right? And then as he's slowly giving me pressure, right? Now this relax more, a little bit more. Yeah, continue. See, now because my structure gives me strength, all his force is now transferred to the ground, like this, right? A little bit more. Lean a little bit more, right? So it's not strength, right? It's not strength, right? It's just this. You see, this is relaxed. I'm not doing this, right? See that? See that? So structure, but if my structure is wrong, let's say my structure push, see that? My structure is wrong. So structure over strength. The fourth thing I learned from Wing Chun, and that is fundamentals over fancy techniques. I remember the first month when I learned Wing Chun, my sifu, my instructor, was teaching me the straight punch, right? The whole first month, all we did is we just straight punch. Either we do it this way, we do it this way, we do it forward, right? We do it backwards. And after a month of this is stupid. Like, this is a scam, right? I pay my tuition, sifu doesn't do anything, just teaching me this shit. Like, what the hell is this? I was thinking, I want to learn this fancy techniques, and they're doing some cool fancy techniques. And suddenly, it's like a bit of like Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. Then my sifu said, okay, now you hit somebody with this. Now let me train you with this. And suddenly, oh, because I've been practicing for a month, I didn't know I was internalized some of the techniques, very simple technique. In Wing Chun, it's very, very simple. It's very direct. We don't have a lot of techniques, right? You have the slapping hand, which is the pak sao, right? You have the pak sao, or you have the lap sao here, right? Which is the, right? Pulling hand, right? Or you have the bong sao. This is like that, right? You have the, if someone throw a hook, right? A tan sao from here, and that's okay. Like, we don't have a lot of fancy techniques. It's just those fundamentals over and again, right? And that's what makes it cool. It's the application of very basic techniques, because when you are in a scenario, when you're getting attacked, what you don't want is you have a lot of techniques. You have, let's say, 100 techniques. Someone attacks you and you say, you know what, let me think about, I want to use technique 55 combined with technique 64, and then I'm going to finish him off with technique 72. No, like, when in doubt, like, you just hit. And you don't want to have 3-4 punches in your mind, you have one, right? And then if there's something in the way that you want to use your sensitivity and you want to do something else. But it's variation of that. And you practice for so many years with the same stuff. So fundamentals over fancy techniques. Tip number 5, probably the most important thing that I've learned from my sifu, my instructor, and that is who you learn from is way more important than what you learn. You could learn different style. Let's say you want to learn Wing Chun. Learning from one instructor versus another instructor, there will be huge difference. In fact, even though it's the same style, each instructor has their own interpretation what that style is. Some are very traditional. I've learned from my Wing Chun instructor, very traditional. That's okay, you only stand this way, you only do this, and you would always fight this way, right? And then I've learned from other instructors where, why the hell would you do this? And why the hell would you do this? You should come from a natural stance and you can explode at any time. For some, they combine with some other martial arts where they would flow from Wing Chun, could even to boxing. Nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong. But who you learn from, because you're not just learning from that instructor, you're picking up his habits, his belief system as well. So be very, very careful. Even though you're learning from the same technique, maybe you're looking for Wing Chun school in your area, right? But who you learn from. And you want to learn from an instructor that's always growing. That's always testing his theory. That's like, you know what? I don't know if that works. Let's test it out, right? Let's experiment. Let's try that. You say that gives you more power. Let's see if that gives you more power, right? Instead, nope, that's the way I always do it. That's the way that my sifu does it, and that's it. Like, that is like a religion. We don't change a damn thing. Martial art is not like that, right? Back then, I mean, you think about different techniques, and now you got to think about, oh, what if people have weapons, right? What if you have scenarios where you are back against the wall? What about you have multiple opponents? Things change. What about it's close quarter? What about it's not close quarter, right? What about it's a hijack that you just park the car and someone attacks you? You got to take all that stuff into consideration. Keep in mind, when Wing Chun was developed, it was developed in a temple, it was developed on a boat, right? The Red Bull Wing Chun. Things have changed, right? Even the boat has changed. So you got to take all that into consideration and say, hey, modern day, what works? So those are the 5 things that I've learned from Wing Chun. I think martial art is a very, very interesting thing. I love martial art compared to other sports because it's always a self-discovery journey. You're never good enough. Doesn't matter how good you are, you're never good enough. You can always find little things you can improve. You're not competing with anybody else. We're competing with ourselves, that we want to eliminate our own defects. So those are the 5 things I have learned from Wing Chun. Comment below if you're a martial artist, what are some of the life lessons that you have learned from your martial art? It doesn't have to be Wing Chun, it could be anything. Comment below, share with everybody else. There's some important lessons that you've learned about yourself, about life. Go ahead and do that.